Hi, and welcome to another edition of Jules Voto's Photo Focus. Do we really need high-speed lenses today? And when I say high-speed lenses, I don't just mean the very fast 1.2s or 1.4s, or even short telephotos of 1.8. I'm also talking about the longer lenses, the longer telephoto lenses, the 600mm f4s or the 400 2.8s. Because we have such good high ISO, because we can shoot at 12,800, speeds that we never would have even dreamed about a few years ago, and still get good quality, do we really need those high-speed lenses? Canon has an 800mm f11 lens, f11 maximum aperture. They also have a 200 to 800 that goes from 6.3 to f9. Nikon recently introduced a 180 to 600 that ends up at 6.3. I guess you could say it replaced their 200 to 500 5.6 f mount. Sony the same. They have a lens ending up at 6.3. But today, with the great high ISO cameras that we have, those lenses are usable. Wildlife photographers, sports photographers, because they could shoot at such high ISOs, make those lenses usable. But what about shorter focal length lenses? There are many 24 to 70 f4s, 70 to 200 f4s, I have a 14 to 30 f4, and those f4 lenses are very usable today because of the great high ISO that we have available on our digital cameras. Many people have gone with the 24 to 70 f4 as opposed to a 24 to 70 2.8. One, to save money, and number two, because they're a lot lighter. They're great for travel. And unless you're in the very lowest of light, they work out just fine. Now I have an 85 1.8 that I love. I would rather have an 85 1.2, but I really can't justify the cost. And I recently shot a basketball game with the 85 1.8. And you can see in these pictures, the quality of it is excellent. With the 1.8, I was still shooting at 3,200, 5,000 ISO, and noise was barely noticeable. But what about the 24 to 70 2.8s or the 70 to 200 2.8s or faster wide angles? They still have a purpose, enabling you not to shoot at such high ISOs. Let's face it, even though these cameras today are really good at high ISO, they're still better at the lower ISOs. When I shoot my Z8 or my D810, whenever possible, I try to shoot at 64. Gives you a better dynamic range, and there is no noise. I don't care how big you enlarge it. So there is a place for those faster lenses. Also, the faster lens usually works better with the autofocus, especially in dim light. More light that you could provide to the sensors, the better the autofocus, the quicker the autofocus will be. And what about the really high-speed lenses, the super fast lenses, the 1.2s, the 1.4s, even the 1.8s? There's many of them available today. They're still being made, and they're still in high demand. Why? Very simply, they throw the background completely out of focus. You could shoot someone in the middle of Times Square at 1.2 with let's say an 85 1.2, and that background will go, you won't even know you're in Times Square. So that's a huge advantage to the high-speed glass. The ability to isolate a subject from the background, whether it be a portrait subject or something else, there's nothing that does that better than a super high-speed lens. And of course, those slower lenses, those 6.3s, that f11 Canon, makes for a much smaller, lighter lens. It also makes for a much less expensive lens. There are 600mm f4s from Sony, Nikon, Canon that sell for well over $10,000. And not many of us can afford them unless we make our living at wildlife photography or shooting football. There's no way to justify a lens that expensive. So the answer to the question I posed at the beginning of this video, do you really need high-speed lenses? The answer is, in some cases, yes. It really depends, as with any equipment-related question. What are you going to shoot? What do you need it for? Are you a professional? Are you earning your living shooting sports or wildlife? Those factors come into play. Now, are you shooting theater? Are you shooting consistently in low light situations? Yeah, then you're going to need the faster lenses, because the faster lenses enable you to use faster shutter speeds and still maintain a decent ISO, not a ridiculously high ISO. I've gotten very good pictures with my Z6 and even with my Z8 at 12,800 ISO. But would those images be better at 6,400 or maybe 3,200? Yes, of course. So sometimes those high-speed lenses really enable you to get the shot that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. They're a lot of money, but if you earn your living in those types of situations where you need that high-speed glass, then they're worth it. So let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on this high-speed glass? Now, I only have one 1.2 lens, and it's an old Canon 55mm 1.2, and I love it for certain things, and I don't use it often, and it's manual focus, so you really got to be accurate with your focus at 1.2 because you have virtually no depth of field. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about high-speed glass. Do you shoot it? And what types of stuff do you do? If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I try to answer all questions. And I also would invite your emails. Just email me your question or comments. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I publish a new video every Monday morning and Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So I will talk to you then.